Hi, welcome to Women's Radio 2, the place for culturally creative men and women. We are going to have a fun time today, and Christine and I are actually going to be recording 4 of these because my schedule is going to take me out of town for a while. So we wanted to make sure that we had a bunch of really good stuff, and she's picked some great topics. I think you're going to really enjoy them. And the very first one is how to keep promises to yourself. I think that probably that's one of the most important subjects that we could talk about. And so, Christine, where do you start with your clients? What do you tell your clients?
So we often think, oh, I should do this or I should do that, or I think I'll do that today, and then we don't we get to the end of the day and we're like, I didn't do that. I didn't exercise, or I didn't limit my time on Facebook, or I didn't get this project done. And then we feel bad often. Doesn't help us feel better. So this, what we're going to talk about today, is to help you feel your best person at the end of the day under this category of keeping promises to yourself. So one of the things I've learned for most of us grown-up people is if we put it on our calendar, we keep it. No matter what it is, we put a doctor's appointment, a lunch with a friend, a business meeting, we keep it, or we at least say, oh, I need to change it. And we stay aware of it when it's on the calendar, when we've actually put it either on your phone, or if you have a wall calendar or a paper calendar, you've written it down somewhere. So it becomes a fact. And often we don't say how to turn this kind of a I should do and into a fact. So if one of the things is, I'm going to do some sort of exercise today. Okay, what would be reasonable? Would a 15-minute walk be reasonable? Would a stretch every hour be reasonable? Put it in your phone with a notice that will go off that says, I'm going to do this when the alarm goes off. So one of the things that happened when I got married to my late husband, so I moved into this very full house with lots of stuff. So I'm madly unpacking. I'm segueing out of the event planning company into my coaching business and planning a wedding. And it would get to be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would start feeling awful. I'd have a stomach ache and a headache, and I would have no energy. And it's because I skipped lunch. Because it'd be one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. So what I did was I set 2 alarms. I set one at noon and one at 1. So I was allowed to not stop at noon. I was not allowed to not stop at 1. And it'd be interesting. I'd be out to lunch with a girlfriend and my alarm would go off and she'd say, what's that's for? To remind me to eat. She goes, you don't remember to eat? I learned I wasn't remembering to eat. And one of the things I know about me is I am not my best person if I don't eat regularly, like really something nutritious regularly. So it was so much better when I put it in my phone to remind me, and I had an agreement with myself. I promised myself at 1 o'clock, no matter what I was doing, even if I had to take it with me or I had to go get my lunch and bring it up and eat it because my office was upstairs. And life was better when I did that because I found I didn't do it when I didn't have it in my phone. So the other thing that really helps is when you put something in your phone and people call and say, gosh, would you like to do something? You need to go look, oh, I have something already there. Is this a higher priority? Can I move the other thing? Can I keep my promise if I move it to another time? Or do I say, oh gosh, I had somebody say, could they talk to me? And I said, I'll be done in a half an hour. So or 45 minutes. I need to do this first, and then I can do that because it's on my calendar. I already know I need to do this. So I have found the best way for me. And when I teach this to my clients, that they put it in writing, they keep their agreements to themselves better. Yeah.
Tony Robbins says that if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to get done.
It's the
That
truth.
it's like This is just something you have to learn to do.
It's the truth. You really need to write it someplace where you keep your agreements with yourself already.
Do you think
'Cause
most agreements like that we make have to have some sense of something to do, as opposed to, I want to change my attitude about something. I want to try and be less abrasive when I talk with irritable people or whatever.
Well,
How do you keep those? Or, I'm not going to let people use me as a doormat. I mean, when you finally have come to the place where you said, I just do anything I'm asked to do without even questioning it. So, I mean, what other kinds of promises do we have to learn that we have to keep for ourselves, not necessarily keep them because other people ask us?
well, that's a very good question. So we could use certainly talk about setting boundaries. That would be a really great subject to add to our list, because figuring out where your boundary is, like mine was, I needed to eat by 1 o'clock. So that was a boundary for me that I could stay my best self. And then the way I enforced that boundary was to have an alarm that went off on my phone that I had promised. I had an agreement with myself that when that alarm went off, I got up out of my chair. I got up out of my chair. I got up out of my chair. I made an agreement that I'd get up out of my chair. And even if I was on the phone, I would stand up so that when I got off the phone, I was walking out of the room. Because if I sat in my chair, there was still all that work to do on my desk or the phone to ring again. So boundary setting is a great big category, that part of how you can establish your boundaries with other people is to figure out what you're going to make commitments and promises to yourself, and then establish parts in your calendar that are for you, that you aren't going to give them away to everybody. There really needs to be, like, I have so many friends who have a morning routine that nobody gets to interfere with. Now, lots of them have figured out the best way in their life is to get up before everybody else in the house. So they've made that promise to themselves. I'm going to get up a half an hour or 45 minutes or an hour before anybody else is available to want stuff from me. And I'm going to pray or write in my journal or do exercise or meditate. And they do it every morning. They get up at that time and do that thing. And then their day is so much better. And the other thing that happens when we don't keep promises to ourselves, we get resentful of ourselves. And then when we allow, because it really is allow other people to get us out of our place that keeps us the most comfortable, then we start getting resentful of them. And it's still our choice, especially because we're adults, to say yes or no, no matter what. We still can say yes or no, unless somebody's got a gun to your head. You could say yes or no. Now you need to weigh what's going to happen if you say yes to you and to them, and what's going to happen if you say no to you and to them. And could you have a conversation with them, like the person that wanted to talk to me can't right now, can later. So the big piece of this is that not only are you going to get clear about what things need to happen during your day and write them down, you're going to not let other people move it without you having to think about it. Because if your day's all open, you're just going to keep giving it away. And what I found was I just started feeling better about myself every time I kept in agreement with myself, because I knew I was eventually going to give myself crap at the end of the day when I didn't. Always.
I
Look
think
at
of
all
it
the things I said I was going to do today and I did, which the other thing, I didn't even appreciate all the stuff I got done because I didn't do the things that I thought I was supposed to do. It's such a catch-22.
You're right. And I think that we're all kind of caught between really tuning into the information that's coming through whatever vibration it comes in on, that comes through us. So we can't hear it for doing all the things we think we have to do on our to-do list. I wake up and I know I'm not special. I wake up thinking about my to-do list.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget this, and don't forget this, and don't forget this. And I keep a pad and paper by my bed because I think I'm going to lose it if I don't. I wake up at 3, whatever it is, I write it down. But at least I don't, it helps me have more peace on the inside, thinking, well, at least I remembered it. I wrote it down. I'll get it in the morning, right? But I think you're right. If we don't keep promises to ourselves, how do we trust ourselves?
Mhm.
It's really, really important. And I think as we do get older, we're forced into that position because we don't have the energy we used to have. And so we can't make up for things like we used to be able to make up for things. Or suck it up, buttercup, you know.
It
And
really
you get
is
tired of doing
important
that.
to write it down. You wrote it down and then you put it on your calendar.
Right,
I've not talked to anybody who doesn't generally keep the commitments that are on their calendar.
right,
They just
right.
don't keep the commitments that aren't on their calendar. So if that's what works for lots of people, then we go, oh, I don't need to write that down. It's like when
Yes,
I
you,
tell couples, have a state of the relationship meeting every week on your schedule. It
I
doesn't
love
mean
that idea. Yeah,
the
I
other
love
thing
that. I
is
think that's a great idea.
I tell couples to schedule sex. Schedule sex. I hope you have lots of spontaneous all around it. At least you know, oh yeah, I need to get home early. I need to take a shower. I need to shave anything I'm supposed to shave because I've been thinking about it during the day. It's really helpful for women because it warms us up. So if it's on the calendar, you know it's going to happen tonight. Not only do you prepare for it, but you're going to keep your agreement. You are going to keep your agreement because it's on the calendar. So it's a very powerful tool that people they seem to put really important things on it and then maybe they don't think these are as important to write down, but I'm telling you it becomes very important when you don't write it down and you don't do it. It becomes a big glaring problem. Mhm.
Because you'll remind yourself at some point, oh my goodness, I forgot. And this was, I thought was really important to me. I let myself down. And I
Mhm.
think it's ultimately important not to let yourself down.
So here's a way to not do it very often. Because who wants to feel that way? Who wants to feel like you're
Nobody.
constantly not keeping agreements with yourself, that you're letting yourself down? So this is how you bypass that. Write it down. So then you still might change your mind. You're going to do it really consciously. It's not just going to slip by. And you feel even more important when somebody puts you on their calendar, you feel important. When you put yourself on your calendar, you'll feel important.
It's so, so true. Well, thank you for those words of wisdom, as always, Christine. And I hope a lot of people that have been debating whether they should or they shouldn't take this as a time that something that they must do. Is I
Must
think
write it down.
must write it down. That's right. And make it manifest. That's the other thing that I think that people don't understand, that writing things down is one of the first steps in manifestation. So
It's
if you
true.
really want things to happen, write them down.
Yep.
Well, we will look forward to having you back the next time and talking about another really, really interesting subject. They're going to get progressively more interesting in the next few weeks because you thought ahead and wrote it
I
down.
did write it down.
Thank you, Christine. I always enjoy having you as my guest.
As always, Pat, it's a pleasure. Thank you.